The Arizona sun beat down on the dusty road, shimmering off the endless saguaro cacti. I remember that day vividly, not just for the oppressive heat, but for the chill that ran down my spine when Mark said those words. "You'll be ruined without me, Chloe. This whole dream of yours. It's over." He stood there, smug and certain, convinced he held all the cards. We were in front of the run-down diner I'd poured my life savings into, the one I was transforming into the Desert Rose, a quirky little spot specializing in artisan ice cream and gourmet coffee. He thought he was delivering a death blow. I just smiled, a small, knowing smile that he completely missed. He strutted away, a caricature of masculine arrogance, got into his gleaming black pickup, and sped off, leaving a plume of red dust in his wake. My stomach clenched, but not from fear or despair. It was the thrill of a secret, a carefully planned maneuver he hadn't even considered. He believed he was indispensable, the financial wizard who'd helped me secure the massive bank loan for the diner. What he didn't realize was that his help came with a very specific, and now very painful, string attached for him. I spent the rest of that day covered in paint and sawdust, transforming the old diner. Each stroke of the brush, each swing of the hammer, was a quiet rebellion. My friend Sarah, who'd been helping me with the renovations, looked at me with concern. "Are you okay, Chloe? He really got to you, didn't he?" "Never better," I said, winking. "Just you wait." The next morning, the desert air was still cool, a welcome respite before the heat of the day. I was up early, meticulously polishing the vintage chrome on the diner counter. The silence was broken only by the chirping of cicadas and the occasional distant rumble of a truck. Then my phone rang. It was Mark. His voice, usually so self-assured, was frantic, laced with a desperation I'd never heard before. "Chloe, what did you do?" he practically shrieked into the phone. "My loan. It's been revoked." A slow, satisfied smile spread across my face. "Your loan, Mark? The one for your new construction project in Scottsdale?" "Yes, Chloe. That one. They just called me, said the guarantor pulled out." "What the hell did you do?" His voice was rising with each word. His usual composure completely shattered. I leaned against the cool, stainless steel counter, savoring the moment. "Oh, Mark, you mean the loan that I guaranteed for you? The one you were so sure I'd never touch because you thought I'd be utterly lost without you?" I let a beat of silence hang in the air, imagining his face turning a shade of puce. "Funny how things work out, isn't it?" he spluttered. You wouldn't. That's my entire investment. My future. You'll ruin me." The irony was thick enough to cut with a knife. This was the man who, less than 24 hours ago, had gloated about ruining me. "Ruined, Mark. Like the way you intended to leave me after I poured everything into this place, believing in us." My voice was calm, almost detached, a stark contrast to his growing panic. "You left me high and dry, Mark. Or rather, you tried to. But you forgot one crucial detail about our arrangement, didn't you? That I had the power to pull the plug on your grand plans, just as easily as you thought you could on mine." He started to rant, a torrent of accusations and threats, but I barely listened. His words were just noise, the desperate cries of a man watching his carefully constructed house of cards collapse. I thought about all the times he'd belittled my dreams, dismissed my ideas for the Desert Rose as cute hobbies, and subtly undermined my confidence. This wasn't just about money. It was about respect, about proving that my independence wasn't a vulnerability, but a strength. "Look, Mark," I finally cut him off, my voice firm. "You made your choice, and I made mine. Consider this a very expensive lesson in not underestimating the person you choose to discard." I hung up, the satisfying click echoing in the quiet diner. The Arizona sun was beginning its climb, casting long shadows across the desert floor. I looked around the diner, at the gleaming counters, the freshly painted walls, the stack of vintage ice cream scoopers waiting to be put to use. The silence no longer felt empty, but full of possibility. The weight of Mark's perceived power, which had subtly pressed down on me for months, was finally gone. I was free to build the desert rose exactly as I envisioned it, without his cynical remarks or controlling influence. The doorbell jingled and Sarah walked in, a questioning look on her face. "Everything all right?" I heard some shouting. I grinned, a genuine, unburdened smile. "Never been better, Sarah. Looks like the desert rose is officially open for business on my terms. A fresh start in the desert." The first few weeks after Mark's spectacular downfall were a whirlwind of activity and nervous excitement. With the heavy cloud of his influence lifted, the desert rose began to bloom, quite literally. I painted the exterior a warm, inviting terracotta, added vibrant turquoise trim, and hung strings of fairy lights that twinkled like captured stars against the vast Arizona sky. Inside, the mismatched vintage furniture, picked up from various thrift stores and flea markets, suddenly looked charming instead of just eclectic. Sarah, my ever-loyal friend, was an invaluable sounding board and a tireless helper. We spent hours perfecting ice cream flavors: prickly pear sorbet, chili chocolate swirl, mesquite bean and caramel. Each scoop was a testament to our collaboration, a small victory over the bitterness of the past. The aroma of freshly ground coffee filled the air, mingling with the sweet scent of baking waffle cones. My grand opening wasn't a lavish affair. It was quiet, intimate, word of mouth. A few locals, drawn by the new paint and the promise of something different, wandered in. An elderly couple, their faces weathered by the desert sun, ordered 2 scoops of vanilla bean and sat in comfortable silence. A young family with sticky-fingered children giggled over rainbow sprinkles. Each smile, each satisfied sigh was a balm to my soul. The days stretched into weeks, and slowly, steadily, the desert rose began to flourish. Tourists, often surprised to find such a unique spot in the middle of nowhere, started to make it a regular stop. Locals found a new gathering place, a vibrant hub where they could escape the heat and enjoy a taste of something special. I hired a few part-time employees, a young art student with a knack for latte art and a retired schoolteacher who made the best pie crust I'd ever tasted. One sweltering afternoon, a sleek, black car pulled up, kicking up a small cloud of dust. A man in a sharp suit, looking distinctly out of place amidst the desert casual, stepped out. He introduced himself as Mr. Henderson, a representative from a regional food magazine. He'd heard whispers about the desert rose, about its unique flavors and charming atmosphere. My heart pounded a little faster as I poured him a sample of our signature prickly pear sorbet. He tasted it, his expression unreadable, and then, to my surprise, a slow smile spread across his face. "Chloe," he said, "this is extraordinary." He spent an hour interviewing me, asking about my inspiration, my journey, my vision for the diner. I spoke passionately about fresh ingredients, about supporting local farms, about creating a place where people felt welcome. I talked about the resilience of the desert, and how the desert rose was, in many ways, a reflection of that same spirit. As he left, he handed me his card. "You'll be hearing from us," he said, and there was a glint in his eye that suggested something big was on the horizon. I watched his car disappear into the shimmering heat, a mix of excitement and trepidation bubbling inside me. The desert rose was no longer just my dream. It was becoming a recognized destination. And as for Mark, his angry phone calls had long since ceased. He was a ghost of the past, a faint memory in the rearview mirror of my newfound success. Mr. Henderson's article, when it came out, was everything I could have hoped for and more. It was a glowing feature, complete with stunning photographs of the diner's charming interior and close-ups of our vibrant ice cream creations. He painted a picture of the desert rose as an oasis, a must-visit culinary gem hidden in the vast Arizona landscape. The moment the magazine hit stands, everything changed. Suddenly, the quiet rhythm of our days was replaced by a constant hum of activity. The doorbell chimed incessantly. Lines stretched out the door, even in the midday heat. Tourists, clutching copies of the magazine, flocked to us. My small team, though incredibly dedicated, was stretched thin. We scooped, brewed, and served with a frantic energy, fueled by adrenaline and endless cups of our own strong coffee. Sarah and I found ourselves working 16-hour days. The initial thrill of success was slowly being tempered by exhaustion. The freezer, once perfectly organized, became a chaotic scramble for tubs of ice cream. The delicate balance of our small operation was under immense strain. We were making money, more than I'd ever dreamed, but at what cost? My vision for the Desert Rose was about quality and a welcoming atmosphere, not just churning out volume. I worried about maintaining the artisanal touch, the personal connection that had drawn people in initially. One evening, after the last customer had finally left and the desert night had cooled the air, Sarah collapsed onto a stool, wiping her brow with a towel. "Chloe," she said, her voice hoarse, "we need to figure something out. We can't keep this pace up. We're going to burn out." She was right. I looked around the diner, no longer seeing just my dream come true, but also the smudges on the glass, the overflowing trash bins, and the worn-out expressions on my team's faces. The Desert Rose was flourishing, but it felt like it was growing too fast, threatening to overwhelm the very roots I'd so carefully cultivated. The next morning, I sat at one of the diner's tables, a fresh cup of coffee in hand, staring out at the rising sun. I had to make some decisions. Do I expand, hire more staff, perhaps even look for a bigger space? Or do I try to maintain the intimate charm, even if it means turning away some business? The thought of compromising on the quality and the unique experience we offered was a bitter pill. But so was the idea of pushing my team and myself to the brink. Just then my phone buzzed. It was a text message from a number I didn't recognize. "Heard about the Desert Rose. Impressive. Always knew you had it in you. M." My stomach lurched. Mark. After all this time, a message. The nerve. I deleted the text without a second thought. His approval, or even his acknowledgement, meant absolutely nothing to me now. My success wasn't for him. It was for me, for Sarah, for this little desert oasis we'd built from the ground up. The message, however unwelcome, served as a stark reminder. I was on my own, charting my own course. The choices I made now would define the future of the Desert Rose. The text from Mark was a stark reminder of what I'd left behind, and more importantly, why I was doing all of this. My success wasn't about proving anything to him, but about building something I believed in, something authentic. The constant rush of the past few weeks had chipped away at that authenticity. I called a team meeting the next morning, gathering Sarah, the art student, and the retired teacher around one of our polished tables. The scent of fresh coffee hung heavy in the air. "We need to talk," I began, looking at their tired but still enthusiastic faces. "The Desert Rose is booming, and that's incredible. But we're also burning the candle at both ends." I laid out my concerns. The risk of compromising our quality, the exhaustion, the potential for losing the charm that made us special. Sarah nodded vigorously. The art student, usually quiet, suggested, "Maybe we could just focus on certain days? Like close one day a week to catch up." The retired teacher, ever practical, chimed in. "Or limit the menu slightly during peak hours to simplify things." Their input was invaluable. It wasn't just my dream anymore. It was our dream, one we were all invested in. After a long discussion, we decided on a plan. We wouldn't expand the physical space or immediately hire a huge new team. Instead, we would focus on sustainable growth. Our first step was to adjust our operating hours, closing on Tuesdays to give everyone a much-needed break and time for deeper cleaning and prep. We also decided to implement a small, rotating menu of daily specials instead of trying to offer everything all the time. This would allow us to focus on fresh, seasonal ingredients and maintain the high quality of our signature items. The change wasn't easy at first. Some customers grumbled about the new hours, but most understood when we explained our commitment to quality and the well-being of our small team. Surprisingly, the Tuesday closures created a new sense of anticipation. People learned to plan their visits, and the lines, while still present, felt more manageable, less frantic. With a slight reduction in volume, we found our rhythm again. There was more laughter, less rushed movement. I spent more time experimenting with new flavors, perfecting our coffee blends, and connecting with our customers. The art student had time to create beautiful chalk art on our menu boards, and the retired teacher even started bringing in homemade jams to sell, which quickly became a popular item. The desert rose began to feel like the oasis I had always envisioned, a place of calm and genuine connection in the heart of the bustling desert. The initial wave of frantic success had threatened to wash away its soul, but by taking a strategic pause and prioritizing our values, we had managed to steer it back on course. We were still busy, thriving even, but now it felt right. Felt like us. Months turned into a year. The desert rose, once a desperate gamble, had become a beloved fixture in the Arizona landscape. Our adjusted hours and focused menu had not only maintained quality but enhanced our reputation. Customers appreciated the dedication, the careful craft in every scoop of ice cream, every perfectly brewed cup of coffee. We had fostered a community, a loyal clientele who cherished our little oasis. Sarah, who had started as my steadfast helper, now managed the front of the house with a quiet confidence. The art student had developed a local following for their unique latte designs, often drawing whimsical desert scenes in the foam. The retired teacher's jams were so popular that we dedicated a small corner of the diner to Grandma Elsie's Pantry, selling not just her preserves but also artisanal honey from a nearby apiary and bags of our custom coffee blend. I found myself less in the frantic rush of day-to-day operations and more in the creative flow, experimenting with seasonal flavors, sourcing new local ingredients, and even sketching designs for custom pottery mugs we planned to sell. The work felt joyful again, a true extension of myself. The Desert Rose was thriving, not just in profit, but in spirit. One quiet afternoon, an older woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile approached the counter. She ordered a small scoop of prickly pear sorbet and sat by the window, watching the desert light shift. As she was leaving, she paused. "I just wanted to tell you," she said, her voice soft. "What a wonderful place you have here. My grandson. He used to talk about starting a big construction project, how he was going to be so successful. But something went wrong with his financing. He lost everything. He was so distraught." My heart gave a little lurch, but I kept my expression neutral. "He's been trying to put his life back together," she continued. "Started working with a smaller local crew, doing honest work. He seems calmer now, more grounded. He never talked much about what happened, just that it was a harsh lesson." She gave me a small, knowing smile. Sometimes losing everything is the best thing that can happen. It forces you to find out what truly matters. She thanked me for the sorbet and left, leaving behind a faint scent of lavender and a profound silence. I watched her go, a strange mix of emotions swirling inside me. It was Mark's grandmother. I hadn't seen her since before everything happened. Her words, so innocent to her, carried a weight of unintended irony for me. I never wished ill upon Mark, not truly. I just wanted to stand on my own 2 feet, to build my dream without being undermined or discarded. Hearing that he, too, had been forced to rebuild, that he was perhaps finding a different path, brought an unexpected sense of closure. The universe, it seemed, had a way of balancing things out. The Desert Rose, born from a heartbreak and a daring act of self-preservation, had become more than just a diner. It was a testament to resilience, a sweet victory, and a quiet beacon in the vast, beautiful Arizona desert. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt truly, completely at peace.